In this video, I'd like to show you how to create an external style sheet for your site. This is going to be a style sheet that you can apply to multiple HTML pages in your site. So I'll show you what I have open here, and then you can follow along. There's really not a whole lot to this tutorial, but it's pretty important. It's one of those things that you want to make sure you implement in your sites from this point forward, and it's going to save you a lot of time, because basically what you're doing is you're creating one style sheet that links to the separate HTML pages. That way you don't have to put in all the styles inside every HTML file. You can have the one main style sheet. So then if you say, well, okay, I've got this layout here and I don't like the color of this nav bar, and you have it on 5 pages, instead of having to go to all 5 HTML pages and change the color of this nav bar, you make that change on the CSS file and it changes automatically every single page. So it really helps you with your designs and helps your site to be a lot more streamlined. So I have the brackets editor here open, and this is the file that I created in one of the previous tutorials that has the basic CSS layout. So here's the code, and then over here in the browser, that's what it looks like. And then I also have the W3 Schools CSS how-to site open, or page open. So go to CSS, click on the how-to. And then there are 3 ways to insert CSS. We've looked at the internal and the inline. Internal is still fine to use. You know, you may mix all 3 of these, but primarily you're going to use what I'm showing you here, the external style sheet. So what you want to do is create a new .css file. And it's just like an HTML file, but it has a .css extension. So that's going to be the first thing we want to do. So I'll go back here to brackets and I'll do a file new. And then I'll do file save, and I'll navigate to my CSS layout folder, and then you just want to put your CSS file in the same location as your HTML files and call it something that's easy for you to remember how to type in. Usually like styles.css makes sense. So you do need to type the name, all lowercase, no spaces, and then add the .css extension, click save. And what we're going to do here is we're actually converting this file here to one that links to an outside style sheet. So what you want to do is take all of the style code within those 2 style tags and put it in the new CSS file that we just created. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight everything between the style tags. So I'm just going to highlight, scroll down. So all of this is going to go into that CSS file. You don't need the style tags. Okay, so highlight everything in the middle of that, copy, or you can cut. I'll just do a cut to save time. And then I'll come back here to the styles.css and I'll right click and paste. Alright, so that's what it looks like. You don't have to have any special code at the top. Just put the styles directly in there just like I did. Do a file save. And then you're going to need one more thing, obviously. You need to link to the style sheet you just created. You get the code right here in the CSS W3 Schools example. I'll just highlight this. Notice that it goes in the head of your document. So I'm going to right click again and copy. And let me come back to brackets here and click on my HTML file. And then let me go here and take out the style tag because I don't have a style right now. Now there might be times where you want to change something specific to that HTML page. So maybe you have to put in there maybe like changing the link color or something specific to that HTML page. So you might still use a style tag in the HTML, but for this example I'm not. I'm relying 100% on the external style sheet. Alright, and I'll go ahead and paste this in here. And you can see that they name theirs my style, and I named mine styles.css, just like that. And just put the name of the link in quotes, unless you put it in a separate folder or something, but this looks like it's going to work. So I'll do a file save. And let's go check it and make sure that it still displays okay. Alright, now you don't notice any difference, but there's a lot going on here. Notice that all that code is gone from my HTML, replaced with this one line, links to the .css style sheet, and then right here, if I go open my .css file up, notice that here's all the code that I can change. So if I wanted to try this out and see, maybe just change the hexadecimal color here, let me just drop some of this off and save it. So I save the CSS file. I don't have to open up the HTML file. I just change the hexadecimal code, and notice that the color changed. Okay, so you can see how this works now probably at this point. If I created another HTML file to go on my page, this is the line that needs to go in that HTML file. And then as long as you have your different division tags for your CSS layout, and if you use the same names and everything, so I've got a division class named header, one named top nav. As long as you put that in your other HTML files and you put the link to this style sheet, then they're going to use the same style sheet, and then you make one change on this CSS file and it changes on all of the different HTML files that use that style sheet. So that's really all there is to it. You're going to move your code or start a new CSS style sheet and put in your different rules, and then make sure you include the link there. And now you are using an external style sheet that'll help you be a lot more efficient with your HTML and your CSS.